Hey guys! So, I got asked to make a video on a day of what I eat. So, this. I'm just gonna show you later in this video, like a breakfast variation that I made, a lunch variation that I made, and I'm just gonna, tell you about my day with food, my daily intake. So, just to mention, diet is a super individual thing. So, one man's food is another man's poison. So what works for me might not work for you, vice versa. So this is just my personal way of living with food at the current. So having a bit of an integrative nutrition and Ayurvedic background. First thing to mention is that our diets, or how we should eat, depends on firstly where we live on this planet, as in what's locally available on fresh local foods and produce. So a diet from a northern country in Europe, like Germany, where I'm originally from, varies, for example, greatly to a diet in Australia, where I'm living now, just because of what's available in which season, what's local, what's imported, and so on. Another thing is that diet is very much dependent on this season. So as you tune into your body, you'll notice that as well, because like everything in nature has its own rhythm, has its own flow, and if we tune to that, then that's a great thing to orientate. And our bodies are so smart, they're so intelligent, they know exactly what they need if we just make the effort to tune in and see what it is. So, and you'll find that depending on the season, you'll eat different foods in winter than what you would eat in summer. So say for instance winter, it's cold, dry air, so that makes it has like more sort of heavy, solid, grounding, tending to being lethargic qualities in winter. Like our system takes longer to warm up and so forth. So what we're craving in winter naturally is more warming foods, like stews, like soups, like grounding, nourishing, but warming, sort of uplifting at the same time. So you might want to implement more spices in winter than what you do in summer. As opposingly, summer, for example, especially here in Australia, or if you're living close to the equator, summers are hot, so our system tends to, like a car engine, and hot temperatures tends to run hotter way quicker anyway. So what we're naturally craving in summer is less spices, although most of us do actually like spicy, and I used to love spicy as well, but I try to cut down on this because I'm a very fiery person, which is another thing, how the 5 elements come into diet, but that's a fully different video again. So in summer you would naturally crave more cooling, refreshing, fresh, raw sort of foods. Like we automatically eat more salads, we have juices, smoothies, things like that, things that cool our system, keep us energized and hydrated. So at the moment it's coming to spring here today. We got a really beautiful sunny day. So my diet at the moment, I'm also coming back from Thailand, where I had summer for the last few months as opposed to winter, which it was in Australia. So my current diet looks like this. I just sort of talk through it from morning to night. I gotta say that I eat plant-based, so this is again just my personal choice, how I live, and just the food I personally eat and prefer, because I find it works well for me, first like for ethical, moral sort of reasons, but also for my body system. So now there's people out there that whose bodies don't respond so well to a plant-based diet, or perhaps you have different dietary requirements or backgrounds or beliefs, and that's completely fine. Like I say, I'm just sharing my personal view, my personal food diary. So I try to rise quite early in the morning at the moment, because I've been training a lot of energy stuff in the last couple of months, and we had class starting at 6 a.m. So I would get up at 4:30. At the moment, since the sun is still a little bit slow here and it's cold in the mornings, I get up around 5. So first thing I do is just have about half a liter of lukewarm water without anything else. So that's the first thing I do in the morning to predominantly, it really helps to flush the liver, so therefore to detoxify your system, flush your gut, and so forth. So it's a really good thing to, just detoxify, also to lose weight. Lukewarm water is good to also stimulate or be easier on the digestive system as opposed to cold water. So we should never really eat or drink too cold drinks or foods, as it just slows down our metabolism, as it slows down the, how you say in Ayurveda, digestive fire or agony. So having about half a liter or like 2 cups of lukewarm water first thing in the morning, then I wouldn't recommend that's what I'm doing. I'm not having anything else for at least half an hour, but I have my breakfast then later anyway. So then I would continue with, for me it's my meditation and hermetics practice. Then I would do a physical practice, whether that's yoga or stretches, or I'm doing a lot of functional movement stuff at the moment. And then I would have my proper breakfast about maybe 9-10 o'clock, and that's usually just fruit. So in Thailand, where fruit is just available in abundance and it's so cheap, I would just live off mangoes and papaya and dragon fruits every day for breakfast anyways. There's so many different varieties of bananas. So that's my breakfast that lasts me for a few hours. It's an amazing, with all the fructose, but also the fiber in the fruits, just give you an amazing base to kickstart you into the day, like to give you a good amount of energy as well as nutrients. And it's good to have sugary things, which, yes, they're natural sugars, but fruits are sugary foods. It's good to have them in the first half of your day. You don't really want to rely on fruit or sweet things, fructose, glucose, too much really after 4 p.m. in the afternoon. And everything is moderation. So fruit in the morning after the water. Then for lunch, I find personally for me it's good, and that's another Ayurvedic principle, that having lunch no later than around 1:30 p.m. is the best time to have it, and it should be your most, say, big or like solid nourishing meal throughout the day. So there's scientific studies on it that people that have had their lunches no later than 1:30 actually tend to lose weight easier through dietary adjustments than people that have late lunch around 3 or 4, which used to be me. And I actually find that I don't digest properly until later at night. So if I then still have another evening meal, I tend to wake up the next morning and still feel sort of full. You just feel like you get this taste or just feeling in your body that you still haven't quite digested, that like your system is not reset. And that's what our sleep is for, to reset and rebalance and recalibrate our system, which does not work if we keep shoving things into our system just right before we're meant to have this break, which is our sleep. And this is shoving things in our system. I mean, food that we eat, but also stimulants like playing with your phone late at night, watching a movie, and so forth. Sorry, I'm coming a little bit, drifting a little bit off from the food diary, so we can make another video on that one as well. So as for lunch, I'm a home cook, plant-based. I cook basically everything by myself. I hardly ever eat out. I just love cooking. For me, it's therapy anyways, and I also love the fact of knowing what's going into my food. I make everything from scratch. I never really buy any sauces or ready-to-go products or produced foods, because they have so many artificial additives, chemicals, preservatives, thickeners, all sorts of things, and a load of sugar in them that you don't actually need, while they're actually more poor in nutrients than having actual fresh fruit yourself at home. So for lunch, I would just have something at the moment really green, like sort of salad based. If I feel like I need a bit more, like a salad can sometimes be a little bit too light in your gut, and it really depends on what you're doing throughout the day. So if you're doing a lot of physical exercise, you just have a physical job, like I'm a massage therapist as well. I also study at the moment, so my mental activity is super high throughout the day as well as my physical activity. So on most days, working days, studying days, I do need a lot of food, like proper grounding nutrition, to get me through the day and keep my brain going, keep my body going. So I would just have have sort of like either cooked or raw vegetables with, for example, quinoa or rice or chickpeas, or like a whole food like grain, or chickpea rice, whatever base, to fill me up a little bit, potatoes, whatever you want to choose. So later in this video I'll show you a little sample of how I did my lunch, and I would do my dinner in a similar way. So as for breakfast, fruit can either come in the fresh form, like I said, or I might make a smoothie. So with smoothies, it's another thing that you're meant to have fruit ideally by itself, not mix it with other things, as fruit needs a different atmosphere in your gut to properly digest. So always have fruit, if you can, separate from other things, including nuts, milks, and so on. So if I make my smoothie, it's either completely fruit based, or if I do want to mix it with other things, then the only fruit I will put in is really ripe bananas, as they are they need this in-between atmosphere, so they are okay. If your gut tolerates it, perfect. They're okay to combine with other foods. So I would make perhaps a green smoothie with banana, put ashwagandha in it, spinach, kale, a little bit of plant-based milk. You see it later on. Yeah. So another thing that really helps me to eat the way I eat is... Oh, I got a little lizard here. I got a big ass lizard here. Oh, he's gone. I'd love to show you. Hang on. Yeah, so a thing that helps me to eat the way I eat is I'm working where I do my massages at it's sort of like a local farmer's market, and I'm sure you can find a whole food shop, an organic shop, a farmer's market, something with real food in your area as well. It's so available these days. It's not advertised right in front of your door, but if you just look for it, there'll be somewhere around where you can buy fresh, real foods. So that's a big thing for me. I just organize the way I shop, and I might do another tutorial on that. Like, I plan my week ahead. I go every Sunday after work, get my cardboard box, and just load it up with heaps of fresh produce. It might cost me 50, 60, 70 bucks a week, Australian, to buy all this fresh stuff, heaps of veggies and so forth, and that gets me through the week fine. And so the more nutritional and rich nutritional, like rich in nutrients food you eat, the less you actually need to eat, because they're not empty calories, they're actually super nourishing. So since I'm sitting out here already, I'm just going to show you, because I've got a little bit of a green thumb too. So I started gardening. I just got back a few days ago, so it's sort of not at its peak, my garden, but I do have a lot of stuff in here, especially green leafy stuff after winter. So I got heaps of kale, got all sorts of herbs like parsley and that. There's broccoli there, there's silver beet here, other kale there, there's herbs over there. And if I turn around, I go on here, so that's my coriander, which is now flowers, but it's epic for the bees. So fennel, dill, heaps of green leafy stuff, and I tell you, it's so joy for lunch if you have time to go out with a little bowl and just pick fresh stuff. I want to plant tomatoes. Pick fresh stuff here out of the garden. It just feels so much better when you eat it. Like, fresh, local, real food is so much higher in prana and life force. It's energetically so much better for you and richer, and the energies that it carries, the prana, as you say in yoga, as well as the nutrients. Like, if you look at foods that have been imported from God knows where, have traveled around the world before they actually land in your basket in the shopping center, they're very low vibrating foods energetically. If you think about it, it makes sense. They've basically been dead for so long, from the moment they got picked off the tree, but then afterwards they travel, God knows how they travel, by ship, by plane, through different countries, through whatnot, so they're energetically pretty bloody flat by the time they get to you. Another thing is the pesticides. So if you think about it logically, like a chemical that can kill little bugs, little insects, and keep them away from your apples and pears and broccoli. Broccoli is a big thing that they actually spray with a lot of stuff. So if those chemicals have the ability to actually kill all those little fellas, then on a cellular level, they must be pretty harmful for us as well. Now, we're humans, we're not going to die from the same dose as a little insect would. But look at it on a cellular level, it definitely doesn't do any good to all these little cells in our body, and over time that will have a negative impact on us too. So always make sure that number one priority, and it's easy to get lazy with it, to really wash your fruit and veg. If you do have the time and patience, soak it in apple cider vinegar and water. Works awesome to get as many pesticide toxic particles off it as possible. And well, another big thing, and that's also a money thing for many people, unfortunately, but the more we can change the demand, the more we can make a change in this as well. Try to shop organic or spray free fresh produce as much as you can. Like, it's about the price for me as well, so you got to be selective, and it all depends on what your priorities are. And I can only speak for myself and food, because you are what you eat. That's what I live by. In any way, that's not just the food on your plate, that's your relationships, that's your career, your lifestyle, how happy are you where you're at. That's all those different external factors in your life. So you are what you eat, and I want to be happy and healthy and thriving, and that's why being able to eat fresh, great, nutrient rich, high vibrational food is one of my highest priorities. And so whatever you make your own personal priority, you're going to be able to achieve that, because it all comes back to our mindset. It all comes back to our belief system, to our attitude, to our willpower, to we are what we think and we are what we eat, you know. So yeah, it all comes back to what is important to us in life, and what does freedom or happiness or health mean to us in life. Yeah, so this video got super long once again. I was only trying to talk for just 2 minutes, which didn't work out. So thanks for any of you who may have watched it till the end. I hope that gave you a little bit more of a clue about, holistic health, integrated nutrition, what to eat, what not to eat. So after this, you just see 2 little tutorials on how I make a morning fruit smoothie and how I prepare my lunch, where dinner would be the same. I forgot to say dinner. I'd have dinner no later than 7 p.m. because I go to bed around 9. Because you do want to give your system 2 to 3 hours to actually digest fully before you go to bed, so to then allow your body to really reset, reorganize, recalibrate, reset the whole system while you're asleep. You don't want your body to still have to work through leftovers from last night when it's so and I'm trying to keep my dinner small. You're meant to have your biggest meal when the sun is highest, because when the sun is highest, the most heat is going. That means the most heat is going on in your gut as well, so your digestive fire is most active. So try to have your biggest meal around midday. That gives you heaps of time, heaps of power to digest it. Gives you power for the rest of the day. Ayurvedic body clock is another thing I'd love to do a video on if anyone's interested. Either way, enjoy the rest of the video. Thanks for staying if you watched so far. Please leave me comment, feedback, questions, inquiries, anything down in the comments below. Thanks heaps for tuning in. Good morning. Alright, so as for breakfast, I'm just going to show you what I'm going to put in my smoothie this morning. So usually I always have fruit. In the morning I start my day with having 2 glasses of water, and then for at least 20 minutes nothing. So I would just work out meanwhile, do yoga, whatever you're doing. And then for breakfast, I just have fruit. So that might come in form of a smoothie. With fruit you want to be careful though. You ideally don't really want to eat it with any other foods. So if I make a smoothie, all I put, it's either just a fruit smoothie, maybe with a little bit of water, coconut milk. If I do combine it with other stuff, then I only put banana in it. And so I'll show you the smoothie I'm making right now. I'll just try to turn the camera around. So this guy is already pretty packed up and ready to go. So I got my shelf here with all sorts of seeds and spices and things. So what's in here is the ashwagandha, which is very good for just balancing the whole system, to de-stress, to calm, to ground. Like, it nourishes the whole nervous system. Then I put the super greens in, or like a spirulina mix. Then I also got maca powder, which is a really good superfood, and turmeric. And I personally made a banana masala mix for bananas I usually have in the morning. I can show that too. So this contains, I forgot, I think it's turmeric, cardamom, a little bit of salt, cinnamon, maca powder, ashwagandha, maybe no maca. So it's just a ready to go mix that you don't really need to add. So it's fully up to what you want to have in here. But yeah, superfood wise, it's really good to use super greens, maca powder, ashwagandha. So then there's a whole load of kale and silver beet in here from the garden. Then fresh sprouts to add a little bit of protein. Then there's hemp protein in there. 1 day, 2 bananas. And yes. I'll just be adding a little bit of almond milk to it. Not too much. I might actually top it up with more water. And here we go. Smoothie ready to go. So that's definitely proper meal, so I won't have anything else until lunchtime. And for me, it's really good to have my lunch around 1:30 latest. I'm going to talk a little bit more on a separate video on timing for food and stuff. Now this is my fridge. This is all the fridge list stuff, which is not too much at the moment. I'm actually getting better. Usually I just pretend like I'm living with 10 people. So I'm trying to regulate my food a bit more. And this is what's in the fridge. So it's a pretty tiny fridge. So it's pretty stacked full. But so this is just activated chia that I made ready to go. And it's so convenient to put into smoothies, into muesli, whatever you do. So you simply soak it and you can choose water. Or I used coconut milk. You can put a little bit of stuff on, like vanilla syrup or dates or cinnamon, whatever's in your mind. So they're raw brownie slices that I made the other day. They're vegetables from the other night already ready to go. They're already cooked to make quesadillas. So these ones are just snow pea sprouts. There's a melon here, which I would have for breakfast. More sprouts. So a whole bag of greens. There's cabbage in there, fennel, whatever those little ones are called again. I forgot. Oh, Brussels sprouts. There's activated buckwheat in here. Oh, and so it looks a bit foamy because it's buckwheat and flax seeds, because I was going to make cookies. But same thing, whenever you eat whenever you eat seeds or nuts or anything, it's good if they're soaked. You can activate them by dehydrating them afterwards, or just leave them soaked and chuck them in your muesli. It's way better for your digestion. So there's more lemon, ginger and stuff in here. They are just herbs and some leafy greens, so they're always good to last the longest if you just put them into an old, like this is just some plastic bag I recycle whatever came in that. I just try to, whenever I do have plastic, to reuse it until it falls apart basically. So then there's plant milk here, coconut milk, a dressing I made, which is like a Thai dressing with heaps of herbs, tahini, spices. It's all natural. And you just do it in a blender. This is cashew cheese that I made. And there's some home marinated and picked olives, Indian pickled small olives, artichokes, harissa paste, which is great if you like it spicy for curries and stuff. Jalapenos, better than buying a chili sauce, because this is just real food in here. So real chilies, real herbs, real spices, real oil. Yeah, so that's basically my fridge, and all this stuff in here is probably going to last me for another week, maybe. Yeah, about a week. It should be 1.5. I mean, some things will last longer, but that's basically my basic shopping for the week. So all you can see in here really is fresh fruit and vegetables. and it's really not hard to do stuff with it. Yeah, cooking fresh is not hard at all. Like, this stuff here is basically everything you've just seen in the fridge. So there's like tomatoes, onion, fennel, and cabbage, lettuce on the bottom. So it's just like a raw salad. Just gonna put some quinoa with it, avocado, the dressing I made, and off you go. You got a beautiful lunch. So here we are. Sorry, I can't prepare with having the camera on one hand, but so yeah, just chucked some quinoa on top. There's avocado, and then this green stuff here is a pesto sauce that I made. Again, I literally just used this blender. I blended up cashew nuts, which are here, with heaps of herbs. I think I put in coriander, basil, loads of basil. You can put rocket in, a little bit of olive oil, so however you like your pesto. It's basically the same recipe, plant-based, because I choose to live plant-based, but it's up to you. You can put parmesan in if you want to, which does make it a little bit richer. Like, there's, you know, cheese is to be enjoyed in moderation. Yeah, if any of you would ever, because this might look a little bit maybe too out there for some people to just encourage them to quickly do some home cooking, but really all it is like chopped vegetables, quinoa that are just quickly cooked. It takes 10 minutes to cook. Like, you don't need to watch it cooking, you know, set a timer. And the sauce that I made, I blended it up within a minute, so you don't even need to chop if you have a blender for sauces and dips and dressings and so on. So if any of you has a request and wants me to put up a recipe about healthy eating or whatever it is, so just put it in the comments down below. So this is what I'm having for lunch. It's sort of a similar thing every day, like always loads of fresh, real food, loads of veggies, chickpeas, rice, quinoa, whatever comes with it, potatoes. And I would have a similar thing for dinner, light, and try to eat before 7 p.m. if I can. All depends on when you go to bed, when you rise, and so forth.